Hello, Charley Speaks family. I want to welcome you today to our session on providing for. As you know, I've been talking to you about parental responsibilities. So far, I've said to you that it is the duty of the parents to teach their children, to train their children, which means to tell and show, tell them what to do and then demonstrate it for them by the way that you live. And thirdly, today we're talking about providing for our children. Now, as I have studied this particular responsibility, one of the things I told you that God opened up to my understanding is that we were pretty good at providing for our children's bodies. In other words, that we are very well-made, complex human beings, made by God Himself. And He made us body, mind, and spirit. And that we have been very good at providing for our children's bodies. And many of us have even been very good at providing for them mentally, their educations. But the one part that we have left lacking has been providing for them spiritually. Well, we are talking today about providing for our children. Now, the passage today comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 14, and this is Paul. Paul is talking to the church at Corinth, and he says, "Now I am ready to visit you for the third time, and I will not be a burden to you, because what I want is not your possessions, but you. After all, children should not have to save up for their parents, but parents for their children." Well, Paul is coming to Corinth, he said, for the third time. And this time he says, "I am coming to talk to you, but I want you to know I'm not coming to you for your money." And he used the analogy regarding parenting that says that parents should not, he said, after all, children should not have to save up for their parents, but parents for their children. Now, this is something we need to talk about a little, because we don't sometimes realize that the things we do as parents really does impact not only our small children, but it impacts them in adulthood. So let's talk today about saving up for our children, or about this passage itself. I've asked a young gentleman that I know, happens to be one of our sons. I asked him, "Son, take a look at this passage, and then tell me what thoughts come to your mind as you read that, and we will share that with you." Joseph, I know that this was quick, but I thought that the things you shared with me would be things that people can really benefit from, because as parents we do a lot of things, but we don't know how some of the things that we do really and truly impact our children's lives, even into adulthood. And I know that in some of the circles you've been in, you've seen children or young adults who have really been impacted by how parents interpret that particular passage there, or how parents, what their thoughts were about it. Did they think that that their children owe them for what they do or not? But you shared some things with me. I don't know if you would mind sharing them with our audience today, because we're talking about providing for our children. But what about the thought that children should not have to save up for their parents, but parents for their children? How What thoughts came to your mind when you read that?
Initially, when I first read the scripture and I was trying to follow where Paul was going when he was talking to the church in Corinth, he said, "This is my third time coming back to you." So this is a third attempt. He's tried in the past, and he's coming back, and he seems to have to explain that even in this third time, I have no ulterior motive. There's nothing I want from you. I'm coming back for you out of true love, honesty, and pretty much perseverance. There's no ulterior motive, and he wants them to see that. And then he uses the example, which I did think was interesting, talking about parents. Pretty much, he seemed like, from my point of view, he was comparing himself as a parent that is saving up for his child, not the child having to save up for the parents. And it took a few minutes to really think about where he was coming from, or just what context he meant with that passage right there, and even how it would apply to parents and children. In this day and age, you have a lot of mixed family dynamics. You have you're single, you have double parent households, you have brothers raising younger brothers, you have all kinds of foster families, and so you have all these different family dynamics. But with the parenting, as far as into the children, what he's saying, what Paul's saying, and where I'm going with these different family dynamics is the parent is supposed to be saving up for the child, not the child saving up for the parent. Doesn't really matter what type of household, whether it's a broken or it's what we consider together, or high status, middle income, low income family, but that can have an effect in all those different dynamics. A parent saving up for their child is the way it's supposed to be. It was originally ordained. Parents providing, making a way for their children. When you have a parent that's the reverse way, the child saving up for the parent, that's where you almost have an expectation of that child to do something for that parent, from the parent's point of view, and also from the child's point of view. As I mentioned, we talked a little earlier, children are not ignorant as well. They can figure out after a while what your true motive is. Is this my parent who's providing, nurturing, saving up for me, or is there something they're looking for from me? And that's not always clearly seen, but it does come out after a while. You have children, even in high fields and high pressure positions, who sometimes are pushed into those roles without not always wanting to go into those roles because of sometimes a parental figure. You need to do this because I've done it and it keeps my status going. It keeps my financial security, our last name,